Hello everyone, my name is Jordan and today I'm going to be talking about the 23 books I want to read in 2023. This is a pretty popular trend on booktube. I don't know that I've really seen many people doing it this year, and I think I might know why. It's getting to be a lot of books. This is my first time doing it. But trying to narrow it down to 23 books is kind of hard. 23 is almost like too many. I think it'd almost be easier to pick out like the top 10 books I want to read, just because it's kind of like you have the ones you most want to read, and then everything else kind of falls into this like, yeah, I want to read it, but it's not quite up there. Like it's close. So when you get into you're starting to get down into the 20s, and you're like, oh, but then there's this one, there's this one, and there's this one, and they're all kind of in this like middle ground, and it's hard to like decide. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be easier to do 10. That's probably what I'll do in the future, but it's too late. I've committed. There were books I left out that I was like, oh, I forgot to add that one, but it's fine. So I do have 23 books here to talk about. I'm going to try to not linger too much on one, or this will be an incredibly long video. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first book on this list I have is The Sword of Kaigen by Emma Wang. This is supposed to be like a Japanese-inspired military fantasy, and I don't know who it was. I think it was a booktuber, and that's how I discovered this book. They were talking about it, and they said that this is like for fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I love that. That was like, okay, I need to immediately buy this. And that was a couple years ago now, or a year or two ago now, and I still haven't read it. So I really want to get to this book this year. It's a standalone. It takes place in the same world as another series that this author wrote, but it's completely separate. You can just read it all on its own. You don't need to read the series. And yeah, so I'm really excited about this. Then this next book I have is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This is sort of like a general fiction family drama. Celeste Ng writes a lot of Chinese American characters, because I believe Celeste Ng herself is Chinese American. I read her Everything I Never Told You book like several years ago and really liked it, and so I was so excited. This was like the reason why I caved in and finally got my book of the month subscription, was because of this book. And this was like years ago now. It was like 5 years ago or something like that. And I still haven't read it. Like, I need to read this book. So, like I said, kind of a family drama. And then the next book is The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart. This is the third and final book in the Drowning Empire series. I read the first two books in 2022 and absolutely love them. The third book comes out later this year, like April, I think, or something. So I definitely want to pick that up like as soon as it comes out. This is a pretty popular adult fantasy series. There's bone shard magic. There's a war going on. It's really good. Kind of, typical fantasy stuff, but it's really good. I thought it had the magic was a unique concept, and I love the characters, and I'm just really excited for this final installment in the series. And then I have An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I have been trying to read this series since the day this book came out. I have read the first two books in this series before, but because of how long between each book, I just never really kept up with it. So I read the first book, then when the second book came out, I reread the first book, then read the second book, and then I fell off from there. So I really want to start the series over from the beginning and hopefully get through. I would like to read the whole series this year, because I've been trying to read this series for years now, so I would like to complete it, be able to binge it, or at least throughout the course of this year get through it. So I love this book, and I'm really excited to finally reread them and then move on to see what happens next and how it all ends. And then I have Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is their YA sci-fi that they wrote together. This is the sequel to Illuminae, very popular series. I read Illuminae in 2022 and really enjoyed it. It's really fun, fast-paced. It's told in all those video documents and interviews, emails, stuff like that. So they're quick reads, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. I love the characters, I love the world, there's romance, there's action, there's a crazy AI on the loose. It was just really good, and I would like to read both, Gemini and Obsidio, finish this series this year. Then I have Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the first in a series, an adult fantasy series that's pretty popular, and I've just been really interested in it because of all the hype surrounding it. I believe our main character is a thief. She gets tasked with, I think, stealing some powerful artifact, and of course, other people want it. They're after her for it, and I'm sure, you know, much bigger things ensue after that, so I'm really excited to hopefully get to this sometime this year. Then the next book is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is another really popular fantasy series that's been going around, and I just really want to jump on the bandwagon. I do own the ebook. There's supposed to be adult fantasy, Viking-inspired fantasy series. It's supposed to be like really dark, and I'm really excited for it. The covers look so cool. I'm there for it. I love Viking stuff, so I'm really excited about this series. Then another series, I could seriously make a video just on series that I want to read. Like popular adult fantasy series that I want to start. That's what like half this video is. But I have The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. Not sure if I'm saying her name right, but is it a she? It is. It's a she. This takes place in 18th century Cairo? I never said I was good at pronouncing things. Our main character is like a con woman, I think, and she doesn't believe in magic, so all of the things that she does, all the cons she does, even though they kind of seem like they're magic, they're all fake. But then one day she accidentally summons a djinn warrior, and she suddenly believes in magic. She's like, okay, well, I really have no choice because I just summoned a djinn. And I don't know, he tells her about some world or land or something. I don't really know. But it sounds good. I've heard amazing things about this series. It's another book of the month book that I've had forever. Then I have The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. This is another first book in a series. This book came out last year, and it's just really piqued my interest. We follow the Emperor's Justice, which is basically a detective, judge, and executioner all in one. And I think one of the things it doesn't really mention in the synopsis, but what I've heard from other people, is that it's actually told from the perspective of this guy's apprentice, and she is telling the stories, she's like older, and she's looking back and reflecting on the things they've done or their journey and whatever. So it sounds really good. I've heard really good things, and I want to give it a shot. Another book I want to get to is The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake. This is the sequel to The Atlas 6, which was really popular these last couple of years. It was originally a self-published book, and then it got picked up by, I think, Tor. But yeah, I read the first book not too long ago and really enjoyed it. I actually listened to the audiobook. It's about secret societies, Library of Alexandria. 6 people get chosen to join the secret society, and after their first year, they have to eliminate one of the 6. They have to choose among themselves, basically. And then the 5 get to keep going or proceed into the society or something. Then I have Winterkeep by Kristen Cashore. This is a YA fantasy. This is part of the Graceling Realm series, and now, so the first 3 books in this series are all like individual of each other. They're like separate stories. They'll take place in the same world, but this one is actually a sequel to the 3rd book, Bitter Blue. So I have to reread Bitter Blue before I get to this one, but I did really love every book in this series, and I really want to continue. Like I said, I probably have to reread Bitter Blue, but YA fantasy, really interesting, really like the world and the magic and stuff, so I'm really excited to hopefully reread Bitter Blue and then continue on with this one. And I think there's another one, Sea Sparrow or something. I don't know if that one is also a continuation of this one or what, but yeah, I want to get on with the series. And then I have The First Binding by R.R. Virdi. This is, I think, another first in a fantasy series. It came out last year, and it's a chunker, and it just sounds so good, and I really want to read it. I'm just going to read the synopsis because it's just so good, and I couldn't do it justice. All legends are born of truths and just as much lies. These are mine. Judge me for what you will, but you will hear my story first. I buried the village of Ampur under the mountain of ice and snow. Then I killed their god. I've stolen old magics and been cursed for it. I started a war with those who walked before mankind and lost the princess I loved and wanted to save. I've called lightning and bound fire. I am legend and I am a monster. My name is Ari, and this is the story of how I let loose the first evil. Sounds so good. Apparently it is Asian inspired, and also apparently it's very reminiscent of The Name of the Wind, I've heard from some reviews, so that's a good sign, because I did really like The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. And then I have this book. House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. I have been hesitating. I've been like putting it off. I've been avoiding it because I've heard such horrible things. So I don't know if it's just because Sarah J. Maas has become so popular that you're hearing more negative reviews about her books, but I just feel like everything I've heard about this book is bad. But even from people who read the first book and liked it, didn't like this book, so I don't know. And they're so chunky, and it did take me a while to get into the first book, so I'm just really hesitating on this. I am a fan of Sarah J. Maas's books. They have good romance. They're not the best books in the world, but they're very entertaining, and they're definitely a guilty pleasure read. And yeah, but so I'm scared, but I gotta do it. I gotta do it because I'm sure a third book's gonna be coming out soonish. I don't know, but yeah, so gotta do it. Gotta do it. Then I've got Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is the only book by her that I have. It's the only one that's really piqued my interest. I do like a good romance, like contemporary romance. I believe this is like, I think it's enemies to lovers, and it's two people who are in like book publishing or something like that. But yeah, I've heard really good things. I've heard good things about all of Emily Henry's books, but I've also heard people say that some are much better than others, but it all kind of varies depending on the person. So, but like I said, this is the one that just sounded the best to me, so I picked it up, and hopefully I'll get to it this year. And then the next book on this list is The Shattered City by Lisa Maxwell. This is the fourth and final book in a YA fantasy series. The first book in the series is The Last Magician, which I absolutely loved. Second book was okay, and the third book was very disappointing, so I'm kind of scared about the fourth book, because the series has sort of gone downhill. And then I found out that it was originally supposed to be like a duology or a trilogy, and then it turned into a 4-book series, so that's probably why the third book was really just not necessary at all. So I'm a little hesitant, but I'm hoping that the final book will end strong. We'll see. I really love this series. It's like historical fiction, takes place in 1900s New York. There's magic, there's time travel, there's romance. It's got it all. A great cast of diverse characters. I love all of the side characters. I almost wish that we got more from them. So I am really excited, but I'm also hesitant. Fingers crossed. Then I have Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sin Lu Tan. Did I say that in the right order? Yeah. Su Lin Tan, and this is, I'm not sure, I think it's an adult book. I'm not sure. It might be kind of on the border between YA and adult. I'm not sure. This is inspired by the legend of Chang, the Chinese moon goddess. That's really all I know. It's really popular. And the sequel comes out, like, I think in January. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And then this next book is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I'm so excited to finally be getting to this series. I've heard nothing but good things. It's supposed to be like, sort of like Godfather-esque, and it takes place on an island, this island that jade grows. It's the only place that jade grows, and jade is like this magical substance that gives people like superhuman abilities or something like that. We have kind of two crime syndicates warring over this island, fighting for control of this drug, basically. I think it's kind of like a drug. And yeah, so I've heard really good things. I'm really excited, and I think they're urban fantasy too, so I think they kind of take place in like a more modern time, but I'm not sure. Then I have Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. This is the first in a sci-fi series that I've been wanting to get to for a very long time. It's pretty popular. There's a TV show made after it, which I haven't watched because I've been wanting to read the books first. And yeah, this kind of follows two perspectives, I believe. One is a guy who sort of is an ice miner, and he kind of stumbles upon this abandoned ship in space. And then we follow another guy who is a detective, and he's trying to find someone's like missing daughter, I believe. And this also leads him to this same abandoned ship, and apparently on this ship is some sort of secret. I don't know. It's supposed to sort of be like a sci-fi mystery almost. I don't really know, but I've heard nothing but good things about this series as well, and I want to try to get into more sci-fi, so why not try a giant epic sci-fi series. I think there's like 7 or 8 books in this series. It's huge. I'm not really sure though. The next book is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I really don't know that much about this. I believe this is her adult book, and it's dark academia. That's honestly all I know about it, and it's Leigh Bardugo. I've read some of her YA books and really enjoyed them, so I really want to give her adult book a try, and the sequel is coming out soon, so best time to get into it, right? Then the next book on the list is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, really popular book that everyone has been raving about, and which good because I love The Priory of the Orange Tree. It definitely deserves the hype in my opinion, and this is a prequel. I don't really know what it's about. I just know that's a prequel. You can read them completely separately, you can read them in any order, and it'll be fine. I think this book takes place like 5 centuries before The Priory of the Orange Tree, so you're not going to have any of like the same characters or anything like that. I do believe I read though that she said that some of the characters in this book are like the ancestors of some of the characters from The Priory of the Orange Tree, so that's cool. Then I have, of course, Babel by R.F. Kuang. I really want to read this. Another like dark academia. I don't really know much about it other than that, but really hyped book. I've heard, like, this is an understatement, but I have heard nothing but good things. People say this is like the best book they've ever read. Like, that's how crazy it is. So that's a lot of hype to live up to. We'll see. But came out last year. She's got a new book coming out this year, so I gotta stay on track. I'm still actually just trying to finish up The Burning God, the last book in the Poppy War trilogy, quickly as soon as possible, hopefully before the end of the year. Today is January 30th, so I have literally today and tomorrow to finish The Burning God, but that is my goal for 2022, is to finish The Burning God before 2023. Yeah, anyways, so. And then I have The Fate of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This is the 3rd and final book in the, I don't know, the Tearling series. I don't really know what the series is called, but the first book is The Queen of the Tearling. And I binged like the first 2 books at the end of 2022, so I want to finish this as soon as possible. Another series I can check off my list. I'm really trying to stay on top of series, like, because I'm really bad at it. And then the last book on the list is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. This is Emily St. John Mandel wrote The Station 11, which I read a couple years ago and absolutely loved, and I've been wanting to read another book by her. And so I got this book for Christmas. I was really excited about it. I don't 100% know what it's about. I believe it's like speculative fiction, and it probably similar to Station 11, where it follows multiple characters and you're not really sure how they're all connected until, you know, you get further into the book. Okay, that was a lot of books. Yeah, that's 23 books that I want to read in 2023, and I was so mad. I really wanted to add The Mistborn, the 3rd book in the Mistborn trilogy, because I was supposed to read that last year and I never got around to it. So that's on the side as well. I forgot to add it. That can replace Book Lovers, because Book Lovers is a fantasy. Mistborn trumps Book Lovers. No. So, yeah, that was my 23 books I want to read in 2023. So, let me know down below what books you guys want to read in the new year, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.